Welcome to Dr. Jam's Jam. Today I'm in Copenhagen, Denmark, one of the greenest cities in the world. Why is it so green? Well, there's all the bikes. The electricity is very low carbon because of all the renewables on the grid, and the city is heated with biomass. I'm here to tell you a story, and who better to help me than Hans Christian Andersen, the author of The Little Mermaid, The Ugly Duckling, The Emperor's New Clothes, and many other well-known tales. Well, here it goes. Don't be too critical, Hans. There once was a land called Earth, and upon this earth lived the people. Life was difficult for the people. They struggled with cold homes. They relied upon candles and whale oil for light, and it took them weeks or months to horse ride or sail any distance. But one day, the people discovered the magical fossil deep inside the earth. The people of the earth let the fossil free, and it gave them great prosperity. But the fossil also brought with it the dioxide of carbon army, which caused great storms and heat waves, bringing new challenges to the people. While the people enjoyed the life that the fossil had given them, they feared that the carbon army would eventually destroy their homes and take their food. Fortunately, in a little village, there arose a heroine. Her name was BECCS. And by working with the trees and the crops, she was able to capture the carbon army and send them deep into the earth, never to return again. The end. Does that sound like fantasy to you? Well, I'm here to take you on a journey to show you that BECCS, or BioEnergy with carbon capture and storage, is no fairy tale. Here we go. Our journey begins here, in a field. Why, you might ask? Well, as any child will tell you, plants, trees, crops, pull carbon dioxide out of the air and use energy from the sun to build themselves. I never get tired of thinking about that. It's just incredible. So this is step one: carbon dioxide removal from the atmosphere and storing of solar energy in biomass. Our next stop will be in Copenhagen, where over 99% of the buildings in the city are connected to the city-owned district heating system. This is a network of underground hot water pipes. And what is the fuel for this district heating system? For the most part, it is biomass. Let's go check it out. This is the Avdor biomass combined heat and power plant. It's owned by Orsted and is one of the world's largest biomass plants. It runs on both straw and wood pellets and provides enough heat for over 200,000 households in Copenhagen and over 600,000 households worth of electricity. I'm here to meet with Catherine Johansson, who is the Orsted lead for their new BECCS project. It's one of the world's first BECCS projects, and I'm very excited to see it. Let's go. Hello, Catherine.
Hi, Jamie. Welcome to the Avdor power station.
Wow, what an incredible plant. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Welcome to the site, to the power station here in Oslo. We are a renewable energy company, and we want to create a world that runs entirely on green energy. We develop, own and operate assets both in offshore wind, onshore wind, Power-to-X, and also bioenergy.
So a lot of people know of Orsted as a developer of very large wind projects. Where does the biomass fit in?
So bioenergy is part of our portfolio, and especially here in Denmark, the power stations are part of the critical infrastructure. supplying both power and district heating. We have converted our portfolio of power stations to biomass over the past 15 years. On the boiler in the background here, fueling it with straw, and then also wood pellets on the other boilers.
And so why did Orsted decide to do a BECCS project?
Yeah, so carbon capture and storage has long been identified as an important technology to achieve the Danish climate goals. So to combat the climate change, we need all the tools in the toolbox. So we can achieve a lot with renewable energy, but it's clear and all international experts agree that we also need to take the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and remove it to achieve the climate goals. We are very proud of our partnership with Microsoft and the ambition that Microsoft has shown in terms of off-taking the carbon removal certificates also coming from the project. And they will be using them for compensating for their historical emissions, being very ambitious in terms of also historically achieving net zero.
How will development of the BECCS project impact Orsted's heat and power customers?
We can utilize the waste heat or sort of the lukewarm water that comes out of the carbon capture process. Because we are also establishing a heat pump, we can upgrade this lukewarm water into district heating and also supply that to the Copenhagen area. Because we're doing the heat pump also, actually the net energy balance will become positive.
Sounds like an amazing project.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and I would really recommend you to go to Kalundborg to see where we ship out the CO2.
Sounds like a great idea. And our journey continues. I'm on my way to Kalenburgg, where the carbon dioxide from the Avdor biomass plant will be transported to for shipping to Norway. I thought this would be a good time for you to learn about how carbon capture actually works. So I contacted my friend Jacob to help us out. Jacob?
Sure, no problem, Jamie. In carbon capture, you start with an emission source, like flue gas from a combustion process, like a power plant or some kind of industrial facility, where there's like a big emitter of carbon dioxide. The problem there is that it's very dilute, so it only contains maybe 5 to 15% of CO2, and it's an awful lot of gas. So we need to concentrate it and just extract the CO2. We have process plants that, with the use of a chemical solvent, can wash out the CO2. When you wash the flue gas with our solvent, it attaches and binds the CO2, and thereby it's captured in a liquid solution. The process afterwards pump it through some heat exchangers to recover heat, and then it heats up the solution again, and then the CO2 is released into a concentrated and pure CO2 gas stream, and the solvent is regenerated and can be used for another cycle. So in that way, we have a process that can separate the CO2 from all the other contaminants in the flue gas stream and make it into a pure CO2 stream. And we can regenerate also the solvent. The only thing we use in the process is some energy. Yeah, Jamie, I hope this has been helpful for you. I was glad we could explain a little bit about carbon capture and our technology. So good luck with the rest of your journey. Yeah.
Thanks, Jacob. Well, let's keep going. I've made it to Kalundborg, Denmark. Behind me is the SBTi biomass combined heat and power plant. This one runs on wood chips largely imported from the Baltic countries. Although Kalundborg itself isn't very large, it is home to one of Novo Nordisk's largest manufacturing sites. Novo Nordisk is actually Europe's most valuable company by far, and its market capitalization is more than the entire GDP of Denmark. More importantly, it manufactures some of the most important medicines we need today, and the biomass plant provides the process steam for production of these medicines. In addition, there will be a second carbon capture and storage project at SBTi, meaning the combined carbon dioxide from Avdor in Copenhagen and SBTi will be shipped from here in Kalundborg over to Norway. I guess the next step is to get on that ship. And our journey continues. After the liquefied CO2 is loaded onto a carrier in Kalenburgg, it's transported to Øygarden, which is near Bergen in Norway. Northern Lights, which is operating the transport and CO2 receiving, is building 4 liquefied CO2 carriers, just like liquefied natural gas. Once it's received, it's offloaded into storage tanks. I'm now off to Øygarden to meet up with Benedicta of Northern Lights. Let's go! Hello, Benedicta.
Hi, Jamie. Welcome to Northern Lights.
Thank you so much for having me. It is an incredible project you have here.
Thank you.
So the carbon dioxide will be transported from Denmark to here, and then where does it go?
So at the Orsted plant, they liquefy the CO2. Once it's liquefied, we arrive with our vessels, these CO2 carriers. We unload the CO2 to our carriers, and then we sail all the way up here to Øygarden. And the offloading arms will offload the CO2 that takes it straight through the facility into the pipeline and into the saline aquifer that we have offshore in a reservoir about 2.6 kilometers under seabed.
So can you tell me a little bit more about Northern Lights?
So Northern Lights is a transportation and storage service company for transportation and storage of CO2 underground, offshore. It's a company that's owned by 3 companies, which is Equinor, Shell, and Total Energies. Using the experience they have from the oil and gas business, taking that into this industry. So in Norway, we have more than 50 years within oil and gas. So it's a crucial competence to bring in, especially for drilling in wells and the subsea work that needs to be done.
So is there already a lot of knowledge about CO2 storage below the seabed?
So for instance, Sleipner, we've been injecting CO2 for more than 25 years. That's not a commercial business per se, but the experience is there, yes.
So for this first phase of Northern Lights, where is the CO2 coming from?
We have a ammonia and fertilizing plant in Netherlands. We have a power plant coming from sustainable biomass, cement factory, and waste incineration. Some of the companies that need to store CO2, they have emissions, they are needed and required regardless. So that's hard to abate industries that is not able to reduce all their emissions to zero.
So why do we need carbon capture and storage and carbon removals?
With the climate change we have now in the world and the targets that we've set in the Paris Agreement, for instance, if we want to reach our targets, we need to reduce emissions, but we also need to remove emissions. So it's a necessity.
So is this the first project of its kind in the world?
Oh yes, 100%. So this is an open source CO2 terminal where we transport and store CO2. So it's crucial for us to do it right the first time. And with the state agreement we have, it's also important for us to share knowledge to pave the way for others to come.
So is this the only project for Northern Lights?
We are certainly looking for new areas to store CO2, as well as looking at future projects similar to this or a different concept.
Oh, so this isn't going to be the only receiving terminal?
No, certainly not.
Well, thank you so much, Benedicta, for showing me this incredible project. It's amazing what you've done here.
Thanks for coming.
Let's review our journey. Plants, like trees and grasses, remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and store solar energy, like a battery, in the form of biomass. This biomass can be used for energy generation, like heat and power, like we saw with Orsted. Once that biomass is combusted, it creates carbon dioxide, which normally goes back up to the atmosphere, but with carbon capture, we capture it and liquefy it. It then, in the case of the Northern Lights project, is transported by ship to Norway, where it's offloaded and piped offshore about 110 kilometers and then 2.6 kilometers below the seabed. That chain of carbon removal by the plants through energy generation, and then carbon capture storage is BECCS, and it creates a carbon dioxide removal which can be used to decarbonize other sectors of the economy, like aviation, for example. This is critical for us to be able to meet our climate goals and ultimately to bring down the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere and reverse climate change. It's important to remember that those biomass combined heat and power plants that we saw in Denmark, Avdor and Orsted, those used to be very large greenhouse gas emitters because they burned fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas. The first step to decarbonize the heat and power that they supplied to the city, town, and industrial energy consumers was to fuel switch from fossil fuels to biomass. The second step, which is being implemented now, is to add carbon capture and storage. This means that not only do they have zero carbon heat and power, they're also decarbonizing hard-to-abate sectors like aviation. Our journey shows what is possible when we work with nature and use our imagination. The partnership of Orsted, Aker Carbon Capture, Northern Lights, and Microsoft also shows what is required for us to meet our climate goals. It means not living in a fairy tale of an idealized, electrify everything energy future. It requires pragmatic solutions to address the biggest challenge that we face. Until next time, this is Dr. Jam signing off.